Hello and welcome back to another episode for Project Seed Money. My name is Sharissa Bradley and I am joined today with author Nadia Khan. Thank you so much for being here with us and sharing a little time with us today.
You're welcome. And thank you so much for inviting for your podcast.
Yes, it is my pleasure. I'm so happy to have you. So, what was it that got you started in writing?
I have to say, when I was about 7 years old, I really loved writing. I would write poetry, I would write short stories. And I, like any child, I had so many aspirations. I once wanted to be an astronaut, like every other kid, but I really wanted to be a journalist. But I guess around the time that when I was a kid, journalism was seen as a starving artist profession per se at the time. So I didn't really get to, but I mean, I still had taken classes while I was in college. And I think one of my favorite classes was the creative writing class that we had, or literature, or analyzing films with literature. And it took quite a while for me to get started in writing a book. It was after 4 years later that I was like, I'm gonna do this. So I started writing, and my first book was called Zoey Wonders Why, and just part of the series. And it was about kids learning more about their culture and heritage. There's a lot of kids, sadly, don't know where their parents or their grandparents or nowhere from. And it was teach kids about empathy and respect. I know when I was in eighth grade, we used to have a little autograph book that teachers and classmates would sign. And I know I had this one teacher that wrote, like, I'm going to read about all your achievements and stuff, like in a newspaper or so. It's those little things that someone writes behind for you that make a mark on you. And I think that's one of the reasons why, I continue doing what I love. And then I did a supplemental guide for the first book. So I was like I would call it a teacher's lesson plan or a homeschool person's lesson plan with art, music, activities, reading comprehension related to the book. And I finally delved into middle grade chapter book, which is called Zoey Wonders Why and the Great Catastrophe. And it's going to be launching September 25th. And I'm really proud of delving into the topics that are being discussed in it, because those are topics I wish were discussed when I was a kid. And I think they're topics now that, you know, have importance at the moment too.
That's so beautiful. And it sounds like in addition to the legacy aspect of teaching children about themselves, it also sounds like you're adding to the representation in storybooks. So children are able to see themselves in the books, which I think is so valuable and so important. And there's a lot of people who are actively working on this at the moment, but I just think that it's so beautiful to see it in practice when we're teaching children what everyone looks like and that there are different cultures and that it's all so beautiful and celebration worthy. So beautiful. And I love that you won the awards for it and the newspaper. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you. I try to explain in that book, I try to explain that majority of like the cultures almost make the same foods. We just make it in our own different way. So it goes back to the concept of we're all exactly the same. And it's our differences and creativity that bring us together.
Mm. That's so beautiful. I absolutely love that. And I didn't even know that coming into the interview. And I'm feeling like so excited all over again, Nadia. Thank you. And I'm excited for your launch week. By the time we're obviously recording this the week that this book launches, but by the time it comes out, it will already be in the world. And I wonder, has it gotten easier for you to write as you're on your third book? Did you face any self-doubt and things when it came to writing your third book, or did it get easier for you?
Think so. I think sometimes you get self-doubt and imposter syndrome comes into play, because you might see some of your, as an author, you might see some other authors doing better than you or having more of an audience. Let's say, for example, on Instagram, they might have more followers or so. It might just make you feel that is this even worth it? Like, is my ideas or my story any bit good? Should I change the scope of what I'm writing? Am I in the right direction of what information I'm giving out to, let's say, with genre, I mean, in children's? So I did have self-doubt, but I knew what my goal was, and I wanted to give information to kids that I feel they need at the moment. There's a lot of pressure on kids with how they should behave on social media or how they should be in school. The concept of respect and empathy is losing track. And a lot of kids are doubting themselves. And I really don't want kids to doubt themselves. I don't want them to be brought down by others. And I'm just hoping my books are able to help. And that's the reason that I continued to write and finish this book. Even though my first book was about 2 years ago, I took my time to write this one. I wanted to ensure that it was written properly. I had gotten done developmental editing for this book, and I had done content editing. Along with that, I made sure this time I did get a proofreader to proofread after the formatter got done with my book. And that's the message I would give to other authors, is ensure that you do get a proofreader to that your book is up to that notch of quality. It might cost you a little bit, but I think it's better than a prospective reader or a prospective, buyer finding flaws or faults in your book, because then that just makes them discredit you and not feel like, this is a really good book. And your message that you as an author are trying to get across might not get across because of, let's say, grammatical errors or so.
I couldn't agree more. I feel that the editing is the most important step, and especially proofreading, because once it's in that typeface, that formatting set, there's these little things that jump or move, like a period at the bottom of the page that doesn't belong there. And so, definitely, yes, I completely agree. I wonder, because you did face self doubt and you did face imposter syndrome, it sounds like your purpose and your mission is so big that that's really supported you in continuing to do this. Was there anything else that gave you the courage to go ahead and publish, or did you have a community of support, or anything that helped get you over that hurdle of self-doubt and imposter syndrome?
I have to say it was my kids, because I have 4 boys, and my 2 older boys are tweens, and they sometimes doubt themselves that they can do something, like, "Oh, I really don't think so. I wonder what my peers will say or what my friends will say." And if they're thinking that, and I'm pretty sure their classmates would be thinking that also, they were my go-to, that, "You know what? I have to help out with that age group." That age group of 10 to 12 is a very delicate time frame in a child's life, where they're basically like clay. If you keep promoting negativity towards them, they will have a negative mindset. If you keep promoting positivity to them and say, it's okay if you get a C or something on a test. Let's just see where you went wrong. Let's work on it to figure it out. That of itself would be a motivator. But I wanted my books to be something where it's okay for you to fail, and it's okay to lose friends. Sometimes things don't go the way we want it to go. And that doesn't mean we should, break down and curl up in a ball. You have to get up, breathe again, and try to understand there's a bigger sense and a bigger purpose for you, even if you're a child. And it's the same thing with adults. We have a tendency of thinking, if something bad happens, that, we become very much chicken littles of the world. And I just want people to understand that we have to look at things in a different perspective. Maybe something bad brings something good in that sense.
I think that's so beautiful. And I absolutely love your lead by example route that you've taken, because I find, like, even the research shows that children will lead by your example. They mirror us, they watch our behaviors and our actions. And so when we are following up and doing those things, even though they're hard, and getting back up again, that resilience, I think mirroring it is probably the very best way for it to come about. And I think That's really beautiful. And I love that your children inspired you. My daughters are the same ages. They're 11 and 13. So I'm right in that age and I can see how tender and how beautiful it can be if we foster that mindset. I think that's so incredible. So what route did you end up taking for your publishing journey? Did you self-publish, hybrid, traditional?
He self-published. I actually worked with I didn't know where to go when I started out. So I did like anyone else. I Googled for publishing or someone to help herself. So but I did work with a group called SPS, which was called Self-Publishing School. And they basically had a mentor who provided guidance on the steps to take to write a book or so. There was always a Zoom meeting filled with authors to, work together to learn more about writing and the process of publishing or so. But I think I learned more and gained more author friends from, I think, the Women in Publishing Summit that you're part of, and I'm also part of. And I just love how other female authors are there to like provide assistance, provide guidance, and basically be your cheerleader as an author. And I feel like I've grown more confident because of all the female authors in the Women in Publishing group.
That community is the most supportive community I've ever found. I've had other career paths, a professor, all these other things, and it was cutthroat and everyone hated each other and there was so much fighting for classes and things like that. And now being in this publishing community with those authors and those women, and specifically the Women in Publishing Summit, it feels so warm and welcoming. There's no competition. It's all like, how can I help you? I have these resources. How can I support you? It's so beautiful there.
Exactly. I remember from the summit, some of they have little networking sessions or so, but like some of the authors, there's some children books authors that set up a WhatsApp group to, help each other out afterwards, like after hours, to be like, hey, can you check out my manuscript and see if it makes sense? This is a certain part, like I feel I'm not confident on. Can you check it out? Or my editor has ghosted me and I really need help. Or you contact your own editor to say, hey, can you take on somebody else's thing? This is what's happened to them. Little things that help them out. Or when you're launching, you try to give them guidance on like, hey, try to do this like a couple of months before you have your launch or a couple of days before. Make sure you send out an email so it doesn't seem like it's going into somebody's spam folder or so. But it's little things like that that help you still keep on learning, even though you're not in a classroom setting. But there's a team or a support group that's always cheering you on, even if you're falling down or if, you're making achievements. Everyone's not there trying to like, you know, be like the tortoise and the hare and trying to, push you away so they can win the race. There is none of that. They're there to like, support you in that sense.
I think that's so beautiful. And one of my favorite things is being a part of that Facebook community because if you do have something that's going on, I have posted in there and it's so immediate with people offering support and suggestions and ideas. So if you don't have a community yet and you are an author, I highly suggest finding an online community somewhere that you can connect like this. If you are a woman and you are in publishing and you can join the Women in Publishing Summit, it's every year. But there's other communities like this I've heard of though. So I do feel like that's probably just one of the most important things is to get a community.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So once now you've published 2 books already and you're on your launch week of your 3rd book. And I wonder, have you faced after publishing type vulnerability? So now your books are in the world. Maybe you did get past, I mean, at some point you had to get past the imposter syndrome in order to publish at all, in order to put your books out there at all. Once they were out, did you face any vulnerability? And even now that you're dealing with launch week, are you dealing with anything vulnerable wise or like even worries that are unique to launch week?
This the concept of trying to ensure that if someone has said that they're going to get your book and read through it and post a review actually does it. I know that life happens, people get busy, and it's sometimes hard to actually get stuff done, but I'm hoping people do get it done. But I tell other authors too that if someone hasn't posted, you have to step back and send an email to them, not saying like, hey, why haven't you done what you're supposed to do? Ask, how they're doing or whatnot, and see like, hey, are you close to doing it? And someone might be say, hey, my kid's sick. I can't do it right now. But they'll tell you, hey, I might be able to do it in 2 weeks time. So you have to give that type of leeway to folks. I also have the vulnerability of some people do have, the monetary amount to do all marketing in terms of Amazon ads or Facebook ads. Some people don't really have it. So if you can do more promotion for yourself on Instagram, or if you can promote yourself by, you know, contacting your local libraries or contacting your independent bookstores or checking out, festivals. There are so many festivals happening right now for fall. You could try your best to market your book and your ideas there. And I'm hoping I can do that and see what occurs from that aspect.
I think that's so helpful because we really do have to kind of get boots on the ground when things are coming out in order to see those numbers and to see it come through, especially as indie authors. I wonder if you have one last piece of advice for my authors that are listening, and maybe they're on the fence about writing, maybe it's the imposter syndrome, maybe it's the fear, and I just wonder if you could encourage them to keep going.
If you have an idea that you're really passionate about, I would say don't give up on it. Even if hurdles come, life happens, do make some time to do it. I know it's really difficult to have a schedule of writing sessions. I know that other authors set up time every single day at the same exact time to do it. Sometimes you can't. But make time for yourself whenever you can, or whenever you do have an idea or time for yourself, do keep on writing. Even if it's with a pencil and paper, write it down or do a voice recording of it, but don't give up on your idea. Not everyone can be an author. I believe a small percentage of people actually finish writing their book. But you're creating something that might have an impact on someone else's life, and it's totally worth it. Don't give up. There will be many people in your life that will try to bring you down. They'll say, "Oh, writing a book is just like a hobby. It's or give it up. It's not going to go anywhere." You're going to have so many people bring you down, bring negative aspects to you, but you just have to ignore it. I know it hurts, but ignore it and move forward and enjoy what you do. It's worth it in the end. And I hope it's worth it monetarily and whatever your goal is to get done. But yeah, make sure you have a support group. Other authors, libraries have book clubs and writers groups. And if there isn't a writers group, form one at the library. Put up a flyer, and I'm pretty sure a lot of authors will come together to do it. Or you can do it at your own local coffee shop meetup and discuss things. Yeah, in this day and age, I think we need writers and we need authors to promote the creativity before our speeches is taken away. And authors are the light that's needed at the moment.
I couldn't agree. Thank you so much for sharing that. And if you could just please tell my audience where they can find you and where they can find your books. And I know this one that is not out yet, but it will be out by the time this interview is live.
Yeah, so this is I don't know if it's coming forward. I guess it's blurring it a little, but yeah, I'm pretty sure Sharissa will put it. You can find me on Instagram at Zoey Wonders Y. So Zoey Wonders and then the question Y, WHY. Or you can find me on my website. It's the same name, ZoeyWondersY.com. And my books are available on Amazon and Ingram Spark. I should be doing it on Published Drive soon enough. But yeah, hopefully I get done with this. I've started working on my fourth book. Uh, and it's about body shaming, but it's not body shaming in the perspective of your peers doing it. It's body shaming from your own family members doing it. And it's for ages 12 to 16. And it's not only for females, it's for guys too and boys too, because boys and girls also face some form of body shaming. So yeah, I've started working on it and hopefully I get done with that. I wanted to discuss topics I wish were discussed when I was a kid. And if I can help any child or any parent or any caretaker, I'll do my best on that aspect. But thank you so much, Sharissa.
Yes, thank you. I would love to have you back on the podcast when your next book comes out. We can do a little update. I would love that and just share with our audience when that book is out and available for their children as well. Thank you for being here and thank you for spending some time with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me on another episode for Project Seed Money. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And I will see you with another interview next week.